Brodes Media.
The Philadelphia Eagles made a splash. Howie Roseman with the big bomb to start off this free agency. And this is no joke. You get Reddick, a guy in the last 2 years, who was in top 5 in sacks, knowing that there was so much lack of production in that area. The Eagles could not make any quarterback feel uncomfortable. They had no idea how to. So much time in the pocket, so much ability to stand there and read the field, scan through all the progressions to see which wide receiver or tight end or running back that they were going to hit during that play. And it was ridiculous because here in Philly, we are accustomed to seeing dominant line play on both sides of the football. And when you couldn't get any sort of traction with your defensive front, you understood that Howie Roseman was going to improve that and make it better. And we all anticipated at some point it would happen in the draft. And I still believe they should make that a focus for this offseason, where they still target a player, a young, fresh player. So now you get Fletcher Cox, you got Javon Hargrave, you got Josh Sweat, you got Brandon Graham coming back from injury, you got Reddick, and now you can impact the line even more by grabbing someone who's got some fresh legs, a hungry cat that you just draft, and then you could attack the quarterbacks. And even if you're not necessarily getting all the way home, there's a big deal with just having that understanding when you are taking the snap that they have the ability to. Let's use another team for an example. They just won the Super Bowl, but just so you can put it in perspective of what I'm kind of visualizing here. Let's say Aaron Donald doesn't get home. Okay, let's say the Rams' Von Miller doesn't get home. But when you're taking that snap and you're Joe Burrow, even though you have the worst offensive line I've ever seen, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying in general, when you see that on the other side, even if that play doesn't get home, it's in the quarterback's mind. And now when the Eagles are on defense and they see Haason Reddick on the other side, you go, this guy knows what he's doing. This guy's got some burst. This guy's got some speed. And they need so much damn help there. Jonathan Gannon, as much as I can't stand his philosophy, it was obvious that the lack of talent played a big impact on what we witnessed last year as well. And the position that he's going to be kind of utilizing Haason Reddick, Jannard Avery. We were watching Jannard Avery. The level of difference between these two players is 50 billion. Reddick is 50 billion times the player that Jannard Avery is, if you're thinking of that Sam role. And I'm just really excited because I think this is massive. 27, good age, good kind of area to sign somebody, 3-year deal, and I think that it's going to be fantastic for this team. They obviously need to still improve. I got a text message yesterday from someone who's very close and very inside the situation, if you will, and it was be on the lookout because Juju is a name. Marcus Williams is a name. And then on top of that, you have Haason Reddick. That is a name. And be prepared because something is going to happen soon. Something will happen quickly. And then within a couple hours, I saw the news. Boom, it popped up on my feed. And I just think that this is a great start. I will criticize Howie here with that DJ deal to the Lions. 1 year. That was a reasonable situation for the Eagles to maybe try and get that veteran help. Now, maybe it's Juju, and I would be okay with Juju as well. You need to get somebody who can help out Devontae Smith, and you need someone to just improve this offense as a whole, a professional receiver that can do some damage. You had a lot of young guys in the past, and you've been relying on some guys with not a ton of experience. It's time to change that. And whether it's Juju, who needs to prove himself after last year, I think he has a nice track record that would be worthy of taking an opportunity to do so. DJ was a name that just came off the board on a reasonable price, but that's the problem. I just mentioned price. You see what Jacksonville is doing with Doug Peterson. They're throwing money around like they have an unlimited amount. With Kirk getting a massive deal, there's a reason why the Eagles were doing what they were doing with the Atlanta Falcons to try and snag a Calvin Ridley, because the wide receiver price tags are just going to go through the roof. And it's a big position right now. That's why you make the phone calls and try and land yourself a Calvin Ridley, which would have been fantastic. It's very unfortunate that we had to sit through Calvin Ridley betting on his own games, because imagine if free agency just started and this whole massive movement started and we're witnessing the Eagles apply Calvin Ridley to the roster on top of a Haason Reddick. That would be such a massive way to start things off. And for everyone who despises Howie Roseman, as I've been saying, he's not as bad as you think he is. And before you say, well, he's actually bad at drafting and he can do things with money, look around the league. Howie Roseman has his fingertips on things and does a lot of good things that he doesn't get credit for. I really haven't heard any sort of reaction towards Howie for bringing this guy in. Why? Why not? This was a huge player off the market. This guy's been top 5 in sacks over the last 2 years. TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson, Aaron Donald, Haason Reddick, 23.5 sacks. This guy's going to explode, and he's going to give Jonathan Gannon a real weapon to work with. He could give you some versatility. He could drop back. He can confuse you a little bit. You can have options with someone who's a playmaker. You have a playmaker on your defense now. You haven't had that. We've been watching Nate Gerry, Jannard Avery, Alex Singleton. See you, Alex Singleton. Good. Good for the Eagles. See you, Alex Singleton. Those type of guys, gone. Done with it. They're crap. Just because you have a lot of tackles, it doesn't mean you're playing the game the right way. Alex Singleton, and God bless him. You know, he's in an unfortunate circumstance, playing way more minutes than he deserves, and he gets overexposed. But you can miss the angle you're supposed to take and then go tackle someone 7 yards downfield. But you already fucked up. You already fucked up. They got 7 yards already. You're just going and making the tackle after you screwed up. You didn't do the right thing. That happened all the time with Singleton. Get rid of those clowns and start bringing in some real playmakers. And Haason Reddick is a wreck the game style of player. And just like we've seen with Hargrave at one point, when Fletcher Cox gets a lot of attention, you don't think teams now are looking at the Eagles defense and highlighting Haason Reddick? And what does that do for everybody else involved? Does that open up the game for Josh Sweat? You still have BG. You still have Fletcher Cox. You still got Hargrave. Now you're starting to see that. And on top of what I mentioned, maybe still getting a young defensive end. I don't think they're done at that at all. Because when I tell you they had one of the most embarrassing pass rushes last year, you're talking historically bad. With an extra game as well. They could not get a sack. Ever. It felt like ever. There's not one memorable sack from last season. And once again, since we're accustomed to Eagles football, that's nearly impossible. They win in the trenches. They dominate in the trenches. That's their bread and butter. That's what they believe in. That's their philosophy, as it should be. And knowing that that's what they believe in, and that's how they set up their roster, for it to look as ugly as it did, they're going to clearly put a lot into changing that.